How did I miss the signs? I just uncovered the hidden feelings of my best friend, the emotional manipulation, the lies, and the devastating realization that led me to end our 10-year-long friendship. I'm struggling with how to start this, so I guess I'll just talk straight from the heart and hope it makes sense. Apologies if this gets long or a bit rambling. There's a lot of history here, and some of it still sits heavy on my chest. I'm 28F, and I've been friends with Blake, 28M, for about 10 years now. We met completely by chance when I was traveling out of state for a new job. I was in a new city, new environment, trying to find my footing. And then there was Blake. It was instant. One of those rare connections where you meet someone, and within hours you're laughing, like you've known them forever. We clicked. Same humor, same random interests, same unspoken understanding. It was easy, fun, and real in a way I hadn't experienced before. We became best friends that first week, and we stayed close even after I returned home. We were just friends for almost 2 years. People used to joke that we were secretly in love, and honestly, there were moments I wondered if we were more than just close. Eventually, we decided to try dating. It felt like the natural next step. Why wouldn't we? We already knew each other so well. But it didn't go how I thought it would. The relationship lasted just 3 months, but those 3 months were rough. Blake was carrying a lot, old wounds, unresolved baggage from past relationships, and a tendency to shut down or lash out emotionally. I got the worst of it. He didn't treat me with the same kindness and care he showed as a friend. There were times I felt like I didn't even recognize the person I'd known. I was gearing up to end things, but before I could, he broke it off himself. He said he had feelings for someone else. It should have stung more, but I was honestly relieved. I knew we weren't right as a couple. We worked better as friends. Still, I needed space. I pulled back for a while. I had to heal, not just from the relationship, but from the disappointment of seeing someone I cared about treat me like I didn't matter. To his credit, Blake didn't let that be the end. He got into therapy. He reached out. He admitted that he'd been unfair to me, that he had things to work on, and that he missed our friendship. It wasn't just words, he put in the effort. Slowly, over the course of years, he rebuilt that bridge. And I let him, because I missed him too. We grew older, we matured, and the friendship evolved. Eventually, it felt stable again. Real. Reliable. Now, I'm happily married to my husband, Cam, 28M. We've been together for 6 years and married for 2. Cam is everything Blake wasn't: emotionally stable, kind, honest, communicative. He knows my whole history with Blake. There's never been any weirdness or jealousy. Cam has always trusted me and respected the friendship for what it is. That means everything. When Blake's mother passed away, it hit him hard. He needed a change, and he ended up moving to my city for a fresh start and to be closer to his support system, including me. I wanted to be there for him, like I always had been. He's been through so much, and even with everything, I still consider him family in some strange, chosen way. Around that time, he met Kaylee, 21F. I'll admit, I was unsure at first. The age difference was noticeable, and I had that lingering protective instinct from being someone who'd been hurt by him once. But Kaylee turned out to be genuinely lovely. She's kind, warm, and grounded in a way that surprised me given her age. Over time, we became friends too. She moved in with Blake about 9 months ago, and honestly, it's been really nice seeing him happy and stable. He seems lighter, more balanced. From the outside, everything looks good. I have a wonderful husband. My oldest friend is doing better. His girlfriend is great. We're all in the same city, building our separate lives with just enough overlap to keep in touch. In the past 6 months or so, something started to shift between Blake and me. I couldn't quite name it at first, but the air between us felt heavier, more tense. My husband, Cam, is a pretty introverted guy, thoughtful, quiet, and more observer than participant in most social dynamics. That's just who he is, and honestly, I love that about him. He doesn't push himself into spaces that don't feel natural, and he's always been respectful about my friendship with Blake. But Blake? He started voicing frustration about not being able to get closer to Cam. It started off casual, comments like, "I wish Cam and I had more to talk about," or, "I feel like I'm just background noise to him." Then it turned into, "I feel like I annoy him," or, "He barely looks at me when I speak." I tried reassuring him, explaining that Cam's social battery is tiny and reserved for people he trusts, and that trust just takes time. But Blake didn't seem satisfied. There was a bitterness creeping in. And then it started spilling over onto me. Not in big, obvious fights, Blake's too smart for that, but in little digs, subtle jabs that made me pause and go, wait, was that a joke, or? He'd make underhanded comments about my career, my routines, the way Cam and I make decisions together. It didn't happen all at once, but more like a slow trickle. And I noticed I started walking on eggshells around someone who used to be my emotional safe space. It all kind of blew up at his birthday, of all times. Cam and I came to a small game night Blake hosted. I was genuinely trying to be there, be warm, keep the peace. But almost immediately, Blake seemed off. Snippy. Combative. At one point, during a totally harmless conversation about my current job path, he just snapped, I guess if you want to stunt yourself in life, you can do it that way. In front of everyone. Cam looked over at me like, did he really just say that? And I could feel my face burning. I tried to redirect the conversation, but it kept happening. More digs, more judgment. And not even subtle by then. It was like he had a list of grievances locked and loaded, and I was just the target that night. Eventually, Cam and I made an excuse, gathered our things, and left. I didn't even say goodbye. I was just so confused and honestly hurt. A few hours later, Blake texted, Hey, are you okay? The vibes seemed off tonight. I stared at my phone. No kidding? I waited, then wrote back something like, Yeah, they were. I felt hurt by some of the things you said. I thought that'd start a conversation. Instead, I got an email. An actual, formal, 8-paragraph email. Who even uses email anymore for interpersonal drama? It was long. Painfully long. He poured out everything. How he felt disrespected in our conversations. How he felt I dismissed his experience and knowledge. How Cam defending me felt like ganging up, and how he couldn't be himself around us anymore. He said he didn't feel like he could trust me because I tell Cam everything. Not true. I always ask before sharing something private unless it's a safety issue or just morally necessary. Then came the kicker. He accused me of being unhealthily codependent because when he and I hang out one-on-one, I check in with Cam. Not to ask permission. Just to say, hey, I might be a little late, or want me to grab dinner on the way home? Normal married people stuff. We share finances and a home. It's respect, not dependence. I tried to respond thoughtfully. I really did. I gave him space to explain. I acknowledged where he might be feeling displaced or insecure. But the more we emailed back and forth, yes, still emailed, the more it felt like trying to argue with a moving target. He'd bring up new things I supposedly did wrong, twist my responses into evidence I wasn't listening, or imply that Cam and I were some insular, toxic unit shutting him out. Eventually, I told him I needed to pause, that I couldn't keep rehashing this over email, and I needed time to think. The truth is, I've been feeling emotionally drained. I've been grieving the version of our friendship that used to feel like home. And somewhere in the middle of all that confusion and gaslighting, I started therapy. It's only been a few weeks, but it's already helped me see how deeply this situation was affecting me. How much I internalized his anger, like I had somehow failed him as a friend for growing up, for being happily married, for living my life the way I do. I haven't told many people. We share a lot of our support network, and honestly, I've felt embarrassed. I feel like if I say something, it'll come out sounding petty or dramatic. But I'm tired of carrying the weight of someone else's emotional chaos. I didn't do anything wrong by getting married. I didn't do anything wrong by being happy. And now, for the first time in our 10-year friendship, I'm asking myself if Blake is still someone I can trust to be in my life. And I don't know the answer yet. I finally broke down when my sister came over last week. She'd been checking in on me for days, texts, calls, even memes, and I'd just been ghosting everyone without meaning to. Anxiety does that to me. I go radio silent when I'm overwhelmed, even with people I love. She showed up at my door, knocked, and said, Okay, what the hell is going on? I let her in, sat her down, and then I just fell apart. I told her everything about the game night, the weird jabs, the emails, the weird new distance Blake had been creating. I pulled out my phone and let her read the email chain. All of it. I needed someone else to see it, to tell me I wasn't going crazy. As she read, I could see her face change. First confusion, then frustration, and then pure rage. And then she said, Okay, I didn't want to tell you this, But I think you need to know now. What came next knocked the wind out of me. Apparently, when she and her husband drove to pick Blake up for our wedding, he was a groomsman. Mind you, he confided in them. Told them that he didn't agree with me marrying Cam. That he thought I was making a mistake. That he hoped I'd break it off and give him another chance. According to him, Cam wasn't the right guy. That he and I were soulmates. I sat there blinking at her like she'd just grown another head. I was like, what? Because, let me be crystal clear, I have never given Blake any reason to think that. I've talked about Cam since day one. How loved he makes me feel, how grounded and safe I am with him. How much I like our life together, not just love it. My sister shut Blake down immediately, told him he was out of line. But it gets worse. After the wedding, she and her husband drove Blake back home, and he brought it up again. Like, doubled down. He ended that whole rant with something like, I just need time. She'll realize it eventually. At the time, my sister made a choice to stay quiet. She knew how important Blake was to me. She hoped it was just some weird last-ditch confession he needed to get out of his system, and that he'd work through it on his own, since he lived far away and wasn't a daily presence in my life. But then he moved here, near me, and Kaylee, his girlfriend, moved in with him that August. Cam and I celebrated our wedding anniversary that October. Apparently, right around then, Blake again called my sister's husband. Again. Told him he was still in love with me. Said he wished I'd get divorced. Said he would be a better husband than Cam. While living with Kaylee. The woman he's told me is his soulmate. My sister didn't say anything because, like me, she didn't want to assume the worst. And honestly, she was waiting for him to grow the hell up and either get over it or come clean. But instead, he got more bitter. More possessive. More emotionally manipulative. And suddenly it all clicked. The digs about my marriage. The subtle judgment when I talked about my career. The way he bristled when I checked in with Cam. The resentment when Cam defended me in a conversation. The constant testing of my boundaries. This wasn't about friendship. It was about control. About power. About trying to worm his way into the cracks of my relationship and make himself indispensable. He wanted me to lean on him. He wanted me to feel like Cam didn't measure up. He wanted me to doubt what I knew was good and stable and healthy because that's the only way he could feel better about losing me. And I realized, Blake isn't my best friend. Not anymore. Maybe he hasn't been for a while. He's someone who's been lying to me. Lying to Kaylee. Lying to himself. And trying to wrap it all up in the language of love, so he doesn't have to face the fact that he's hurting people, intentionally. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do. I'm in therapy now, thank God, and that's helping. But I'm grieving. Not just the friendship I thought I had, but the illusion that someone I trusted for a decade actually cared about me as a person, not just as something he thought he was entitled to. And right now, I just want peace. Real peace. Not whatever warped version he's tried to build around me. I'm still reeling from everything, but as if to ice the cake, I've been texting with Kaylee through all of this. We've always had a good relationship. She's sweet, and I genuinely enjoy her company. But lately, I've been learning some things that are starting to make my stomach churn. First, there was the matter of her new piercings. Apparently, Blake encouraged her to get a double nose piercing and a septum, saying she'd look so cute with them. At first, I thought nothing of it. People get piercings all the time, right? But then it hit me. Blake had taken me to get my own septum piercing as a post-wedding gift 2 years ago. We had joked about it, made it a fun, bonding experience, but now I can't help but wonder if there was something else to it. Was he projecting? Was he looking at me through some lens of ownership? I don't know. I've just been turning it over in my mind ever since. And then there's the anniversary issue. Kaylee casually mentioned that Blake had decided to change the date of their anniversary. Apparently, Blake has beef with August and wanted to pick a new date. They settled on October. His reason? He said, it's spooky month. The whole thing sounded a little strange to me, but then I realized that both Cam and I got together in October. We started dating in October, and we got married in October. So, why would Blake want to distance himself from that month so badly? Was this just a random coincidence? Or was he deliberately trying to make some sort of subtle separation between our history and his? At my sister's suggestion, I went back and checked when Blake and I broke up, August 2017. And that's when the dots started to connect, at least in my mind. Maybe this wasn't just some quirky thing where he hates August. Maybe it's about me. Maybe it's about the breakup. It just feels so off, like all of these little pieces are leading me down a path I'm not sure I even want to walk. And then, there's the more unsettling stuff. Kaylee told me about Blake's previous relationship, one that fell apart because the girl became convinced that Blake was cheating on her with me. She was so sure of it that she started blasting me as some homewrecker for weeks. Cam and I always chalked it up to her being insecure, but now, I'm starting to wonder. Was there more to it? Was there a deeper emotional connection between Blake and me that I didn't even see? I know, without a doubt, that I'm loyal to Cam, and I love him more than words can express. He's my best friend, the one person who truly gets me. But now, knowing all of this, I feel this gross, uncomfortable feeling in the pit of my stomach. Did I play some part in Blake's unhealthy attachment to me without even realizing it? I feel like I'm losing my mind, like everything I've trusted about our friendships and relationships is being turned upside down. I've always been an open book with Cam, and he's always been my biggest supporter. He's been so incredibly kind and patient through all of this, even though I feel like I've let him down. He doesn't blame me. He knows I'm not the one who's caused all of this mess. And yet, I can't shake this feeling of guilt. I feel gross. I feel like I've failed him somehow, even though I know I haven't done anything wrong. What makes all of this even worse is that I'm not just questioning Blake anymore. I'm questioning my own judgment. I've always trusted him, considered him my best friend. But now, I'm seeing him in a completely different light. Everything feels so manipulated and twisted. How could I have been so blind? How could I not have seen the way he was trying to insert himself into my life in ways that weren't healthy or appropriate? I feel like I'm unraveling at the seams, but Cam has been nothing short of amazing. He's been there for me through all of this, even when he's hurt and confused himself. He keeps reminding me that I'm not the one who did anything wrong, that Blake has crossed lines that I couldn't have predicted. But despite his unwavering support, I still can't help but feel like I'm stuck in this weird, uncomfortable limbo between two worlds, one where everything is supposed to make sense, and one where everything is falling apart. Right now, I'm just trying to take it day by day. I need to figure out where I go from here, whether that's confronting Blake, distancing myself completely, or just letting the entire situation fizzle out. The whole thing feels toxic, and I don't know how to clean up the mess. I just know one thing: I love Cam. I am committed to him. And while this situation has left me questioning so much, I refuse to let it destroy the relationship I have with the one person who has always been there for me, no matter what. I've been sitting with this for a while, and I'm honestly struggling with how to move forward. I know I need to end my friendship with Blake, but I have no idea how to even begin. Everything feels so tangled up in lies, manipulation, and strange behaviors that I don't know where to start untangling it all. I feel like I need to talk to Kaylee about what's been going on, not because she deserves to know, but because this has all happened under her nose, while she's been living with Blake. She deserves to know the truth. I owe her that much. But the problem is, I don't have concrete proof, just the emails and what I've pieced together from various conversations. I feel like it could come off as some wild conspiracy theory or a soap opera that makes me sound insane, and I don't want to destroy her trust in Blake without something solid to show for it. Right now, I'm kind of on my own in this because my therapist is on vacation, and I'm just left to try and process everything myself. The weight of it all is overwhelming. I keep thinking back to everything Blake has done over the years, and the more I think about it, the more I realize how manipulative he's been. It's like all the little things I ignored, brushed off as him just being anxious or weird, are now becoming this massive red flag. His behavior, his control issues, it all makes sense now. And I can't help but feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. The hardest part is that Blake knows about my confrontation anxiety. He knows how much I struggle with it, and part of me is terrified that he'll try to exploit that. He's been able to control situations for so long, and now that I know the full extent of what's been going on, I feel this deep sense of dread every time I think about confronting him. The fact that he lives so close to me now, too, only adds to that feeling. What was once a source of comfort, having him nearby, has become a constant source of anxiety. I'm just filled with dread every time I think about seeing him or interacting with him. I know I need to stand up for myself. I need to walk away from this friendship with no regrets, knowing that I'm doing it for my own peace of mind, for my own well-being. But I can't help but feel guilty, like I'm the bad guy for ending a decade-long friendship. The reality is, though, that this friendship isn't what it once was. It's been poisoned by his behavior, and I can't keep ignoring it. I want Blake to understand that his actions and the creepy ulterior motives behind them are the reason our friendship is over. I want him to know that I see through the facade he's built, and I won't tolerate it anymore. But how do I even begin to break this to Kaylee in a way that she'll believe? I don't want to sound crazy or like I'm making things up, but I need her to know. She deserves the truth, even if it shatters her world. I want to be honest with her, but I'm scared that what I'm saying won't make sense to her. How do I even start? And how do I tell Blake that I know everything? That it's over? I've never ended a friendship before, and this feels like a breakup on steroids. It feels like there's so much at stake, so much that could go wrong. I just want to make sure I do it right, without looking back and wishing I had handled it differently.